Thank you, Forrest. In fact, I'd like to thank you and peers, all the participants, all of the Carbon Cycle and Ecosystem Office folks who made this meeting happen, because this has been just a lovely trip down memory lane for me. Made me feel really good, and I've been sitting next to Bob Murphy back there, and he and I have been having quite a good time listening to the stories and being reminded of the science, and also seeing some new things that have happened since we've moved on. I don't think I can distill, in any short period of time that you would be willing to bear with what I've heard today. It's all been lovely and very entertaining, wonderfully entertaining. I especially enjoyed hearing from the pilots because I don't usually get their perspective very often. So I wanted to just say one or two things that maybe weren't hit upon on the topic of Fife and Boreas and how they've changed the world that didn't necessarily come up so well. And I'll start with maybe what I think as a headquarters program manager, that perspective, looking back on Fife and Boreas and what some really a key moment, a key point in time was that hasn't really been mentioned, and maybe you guys never even saw. And this is not to take away from what Piers and Forrest did, because I'll say some things about that next. But none of these field campaigns would have happened, not Fife, not Boreas, not LBA, if Bob Murphy and probably the Islskip world of thinking and early planning hadn't taken the commitment to pursue that line of science, and more particularly Bob to work the federal bureaucracy and the NASA system to go get the money to start Fife. That was, I think, almost the first and last actual new money the Land Processes Program ever got. And it was on order of $3 million. I think in the end it wasn't quite that, but it's been too long ago, I don't remember. But getting those resources provided the funding wedge, not only to do Fife, but to build upon for Boreas and the other field campaigns that followed. Without that money, I don't know how it would have been possible to scrape together the resources to do anything. So that really was formative. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is that a lot of you thank Piers and Forrest for pulling Fife and Boreas together and making it happen. And they did indeed do that. But the way you did that is like they knew exactly what to do. And it was just, they did it. But in point of fact, they brought formidable knowledge and skill, backgrounds that were different but complementary in many ways, to doing something that this community had never done before. And they figured it out. They didn't go off in a back room by themselves and figure it out. They talked to so many people, scientists, the support contractors that were responsible for the logistics and the data system, headquarters to see what was affordable and feasible. It was just an incredible set of discussions that went on for years before and during. And at the science team meetings, I think those of you who were on the science team know well what kinds of discussions that were had about how to do the science and when to do the science and where to do the science. And so Piers and Forrest really figured this out and invented how to do these land processes field campaigns for the first time. And that's really incredible. So in addition to learning new things about how the system worked, how to use remotely sensed data, how to improve models, we were figuring out how to get the field data and the airborne data to do all of that. And there's a scaling issue in doing field campaigns that is not unlike scaling in other domains. The things you can do with a group of, a half dozen scientists in the field, and the way you do those things are not the way you do them with 100 or more scientists in the field. There are all kinds of things that need to be worked out, and just in terms of getting a team together and making them work. So that was something else that was transformative in terms of how our community does science. So those were two things that, as I said, didn't come up before that I think were really important to understand about Fife and Boreas. Everything that was said today about how transformative those studies were, I totally agree with, and I couldn't reinforce more. I'm particularly thrilled with how well the community has come together was built through those field campaigns became more and more interdisciplinary and cooperative, and how the field campaigns, being the fun activities that they just cannot help but be, brought up and attracted that next generation of scientists that trained the young people who are out there doing the current field campaigns. So those are really important. And now I'm going to tell you something that I've never told you before, and probably wouldn't have dared. But I want to tell you how much I love you guys. I love you like family, and I am so incredibly proud of the science you've accomplished, the things you've learned, and the ways you've figured out how to do together to advance our science and become a really important contribution to the global change science community. A program that started out with $3 million on building on a program that I think was less than 12 overall in land processes has grown enormously in budget and in the questions they're tackling and handling. It changed everything for our community in very positive ways. So that's sort of what I can feed back to you now, and maybe that wasn't a distillation so much as it was another way to look at things, but that's what I wanted to say. Thank you, Forrest.
Thank you.